Hello and welcome to the third episode of 101 with Scream 112. It's been a while for you guys who's been following us for a while. We didn't do this until early this year last time. And also for the first time we have two guests instead of one, so I guess it should have been 1 on 2, but we'll work with this. And yeah, so it will be my first time interviewing two people at once. It will probably be very chaotic, but hopefully very interesting for you guys. So during the show, meanwhile we go on, before I introduce them, I'll let you know that you can follow the channel to help us grow and help support this, because this is a just hobby project. It's done on our spare time, and you can also follow us on Twitter, Metagamingtv, where the Twitter it updates every time we go live, and there's a lot of gameplay shows and stuff happening over here when we don't interview people. So we'll move on from there. With me today, we're going to talk, as you can see in our graphic here, we will talk about Franchise Hockey Manager, a game released not so long ago, just a few days ago, this past Tuesday, which is a game in which you will be the manager in control of your favorite hockey club or hockey team, and able to pretty much, hopefully, take them to success, trade, anything you can imagine. Everything is at your hands. And we'll talk to the guys behind this game. We'll talk to Brad Cook, PR and marketing manager, and Jeff Riddolls, the producer behind this game, and we'll get to know them a bit more, and you guys will be able to ask questions during this show, and I'll pick and choose from them as we move on. And I welcome you guys. I'll switch now to where they can see you, Brad Cook. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
And Jeff Riddles with that awesome looking avatar.
That's fantastic.
That's what he really looks like. That's not a picture.
Sure it is.
They use
Actually look that young.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for being able to be on the show, and we'll start with Brad here. How did you get into touch with, like, when did you started working with this company? Like, what happened? Tell us the story. Like, we want to know behind the scene. Like, let's start with that. Let's know, how did you come into Out of the Park development?
Right.
How long have you been there?
Yeah, first the dinosaurs walked the earth. The company's first game is Out of the Park Baseball, which has been around for 14 years, created by Marcus and Andreas in Germany. And I started working for them at the beginning of 2011, doing PR marketing for the baseball game, which is on PC, Mac, and then we have an iOS version as well. And so I've been working for them since then, and we added the hockey game. Development started on it, probably over a year ago. So it's been in the works for a while now. Yep.
And Jeff, over to you then. How did you get into working with Franchise Hockey Manager, or did you work with any other game before that within Out of the Park development?
Well, I tested things for Out of the Park before. I've been buying Marcus's baseball game going back, I think, to the second version 13, 14 years ago.
Oh.
But then I had, when the late lamented East Side Hockey Manager was out, I worked on that for a few years as one of the head researchers. And when that died off, didn't think we'd see another hockey management game out, if ever, or at least for quite a while. And then I heard that Out of the Park was trying to do it, so I came on board probably two and a half years ago now, just as a volunteer to help them out with that. And gradually I started taking on more and more duties, and eventually got to the point where we decided we were going to delay the game a little bit and go through the long beta period that we just ended. That was back at the beginning of this year, and then at that point I came on full-time and have been going ever since.
Let's see here. They're talking about the volume are low on you guys, so we're actually just doing on the fly adjustments here. If we can get some sound check from well, Jeff, you go say something. Well, yeah, say something.
How's that? Is this loud enough, or do I need to get louder?
Because you guys don't need to do anything. You're perfect to me. I'm actually adjusting the output here because apparently I'm good, but you guys are low, which
Yeah, I
had me
can
a
hear
bit.
you fine. I can hear Brad fine.
Yeah, I can hear you guys okay.
They say much better. Okay, then I found the setting. I'm actually gonna move it up a little bit more because I think it should be where it's at now. It's good now? Okay, let's keep it there then. Okay. Well, as you're watching, guys, if the volume or anything else go all weird, let me know in chat and I'll do on-the-fly adjustment. It's been a while now since, and I actually run on a new installation since last time, so that could actually be it. Obviously, I had the setting perfect on my previous installation. Okay, awesome. You actually said, Jeff, that you worked on Eastside Hockey Manager by Sports Interactive.
Yep, yeah, I did.
Were you with them creating that game?
I was one of the researchers that worked on the database for them, and I did a few other things. The English to North American English translation was one of the things I did, and just various other tasks that needed doing back then. And yeah, I think my title always was head researcher or something along those lines. I don't think we ever changed it, but I had quite a few duties, and then unfortunately the game went under a little earlier than we had hoped.
Yeah.
And,
do you have are you able to talk about why that was?
Yeah, I suppose I can.
It's been a while, so
Yeah.
because I'm curious to know.
I know the official reason, and I know there's people that have questioned this in the past, but the stated reason was that basically the sales went south after the third version, and there seemed to be quite a few issues with piracy.
Mm-hmm.
And to my knowledge, that's all completely accurate. I mean, the sales were doing not spectacularly well, but reasonably well for the first couple of versions. Then by the time when the third one hit, and I hate to say it to you, but particularly in Scandinavia, they fell off very, very badly. So at that point, Sega, which had owned Sports Interactive, and ultimately it was their decision, decided it just wasn't worth pouring more resources into. The sales weren't going up, and the expenses were staying the same. So they decided to move back to just concentrating on Football Manager, which obviously has worked out pretty well for them.
that is a great that is like the manager game for me. Yeah, that's the one manager game I play and buy passionately every year. But I was playing Eastside Hockey Manager, and I was a bit sad when it went down, so that's why I jumped on this and was really excited about a new management game. So then you came into Out of the Park Development to work on this title as a producer.
Yeah, well, originally I started out just helping with the research, and then just like with the HM, doing more and more, and until eventually they said, well, we could use somebody doing this job, and I stepped into it.
Great. So let's just see here. Brad, you work on both titles, though? You work with the baseball game as well?
Yeah, but I'm doing the baseball game too.
So how does that work? Like, what is your daily job working on both games as the PR and marketing manager? What does your job entail?
I'm the guy who bugs everyone. I work with the media on reviews. I've done a lot of podcast interviews. I've done about 24 of them, I think, this year for Out of the Park Baseball 14. So
Wow.
do a lot of those, coordinate giveaways, and basically manage our Facebook and Twitter accounts, and write our newsletters. And I've done interviews for the Out of the Park Baseball game. I've interviewed some people like Kurt Schilling and others who play the game, and actually Jay Baruchel, I'm not sure you pronounce his last name. He's an actor. He was in Knocked Up and This Is the End and some other movies, and he loves hockey, and so I set him up actually with our hockey game earlier this year. I was talking to him privately on Twitter. It was kind of funny. I set him up with a copy of the game, and he said, "It's like effing Christmas up in here." Was his response to me, which is kind of funny. He's that kind of guy, and so we kind of went back and forth a little bit. I'll be doing an interview with him about the hockey game at some point. So we're hoping we have more people like him out there who are big hockey fans and can spread the word.
That's amazing. So, okay, I'm gonna go to my notes here that I obviously minimized. So, what I'm curious about though, when I mean, this is an open question. I don't know which one of you will answer this, but like when was the idea born though? Because you guys, 14 years of open park baseball.
Yeah.
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 And
Well,
yeah.
the idea originally started with Sebastian Palkowski and Malte Schwartz, who are our two coders. They were the ones who originally presented the idea to Marcus and said, "Hey, why don't we think there's a market for a hockey game out here. Let's try this." And Marcus, kind of stuck his neck out and took the financial chance to
Hmm.
fund the game. And I eventually, at that point, I and a lot of other people, the rest of our research team, heard about it, came on board, and we've been going since then. So that's probably about what, 3 years back, Brad?
Wow. Yeah. I didn't realize it was that far back. I didn't. Yeah, that shows how much I'm told about what's going on at the company sometimes. I don't always know about
I think
these
I might be
things.
overestimating it a bit. It might
Well,
be, I don't know,
yeah,
maybe 2. I've been on it
yeah,
for about 2.
yeah. It's probably about 2 years, and I probably didn't know about it in the very earliest days because why bother really? I mean, honestly, why bother telling me because there's not much I can really do. I mean, there's nothing for me to really do in the earliest stages. That I wasn't really aware of it probably till about I guess about a year and a half ago or so. And actually, it's kind of funny because I set up our Facebook and Twitter accounts, early. I made sure I reserved those names, and they just kind of sat there. And then when I guess when we got going with the beta pre-order sales in March, I pushed those active, but we weren't really pushing the game at the time. It was just kind of a word of mouth, as Jeff knows. I mean, we were just working through the beta period. We weren't really pushing the game hard, and we accumulated likes on Facebook and followers on Twitter like crazy. I mean, people just found us. I mean, it shows you the interest that's out there just around the world for a hockey sim because. I mean, we're up to almost 3,000 likes on Facebook at this point and about over 1,600 followers on Twitter. And a lot of those were amassed without us really doing much to push it. I think people were seeing their friends liking and following us, and they checked it out and did the same, and it just kind of snowballed.
Yeah, the response has been really impressive so far, and
Yeah.
we haven't even really started pushing the game yet. So there's a lot of room to grow from here. We're pretty happy with that.
That is the power of social media today, though, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And I mean, the baseball game, has been around a while and has certainly done well. I mean, we're over 7,000 followers on Twitter, but we're I guess around 3,600 to 3,700 on Facebook. And I think the hockey game may pass the baseball game on Facebook pretty soon. So there's interest in baseball, but I think there's just obviously almost like a hunger for hockey, especially in a lot of the Scandinavian countries. It's been pretty amazing.
Difference market. That's an interesting thought. Because that has me think. Baseball huge in America, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not so huge in Europe. But
Yeah,
then again,
that's a shock. Yeah.
right? Like I love the movies though. Actually, I did buy. I think I bought. I don't remember which version, but I own one or two versions of Out of the Park Baseball because after watching some really good baseball movie, I had to get a game. So I bought it, and it was a great manager game, but I just didn't understand a lot of the terms. But playing it had me obviously learning a lot more about it, and that's when I first came in contact with Out of the Park Development and their games. I think it was Out of the Park Baseball 12, actually, and but a hockey. I mean, that's quite big. Like it's. I guess it's different geographies because baseball. Then again, I'm gonna assume or maybe ask you guys, how big are you in Asia then? Because baseball is pretty big over there. And
Yeah.
A little bit of a following in Korea, don't we have, Brad?
Yeah, we do. We have some following in the Far East. I mean, I've seen the geographies where people are buying our games, and it's U.S. of course number one, dominant, 80% of sales or whatever. Canada's number two because of course the Blue Jays and the Expos used to be there. And then the Far East is number three. I mean, we've got the Japanese baseball league that Nippon. league in the game and leagues in Korea and so forth in out of the park baseball. So yeah, there's definitely some interest there. I'd love to see us grow more there. I don't know how into management sims they are in general.
Yeah, that might be a
But
different thing though, definitely.
yeah, that might be because I mean I know they love things like StarCraft. You know, they have like televised StarCraft tournaments, and that's I know that's huge over there. So, but
That's big in Sweden as well.
yeah,
It's
okay.
been broadcasted now on national television.
Yeah, see, yeah, we're not there yet, and we're not there yet in the U.S. as far as that kind of stuff goes. It's still kind of considered kind of a nerdy thing, and kind of as big as it is, it's not quite there yet. But yeah, I guess maybe at some point it will be.
Yeah. Well, obviously, management games are, I guess, a bit. I mean, they're nerdy as well, though. It's funny but it's still, I've noticed how different type of people play, because it's still really something I think for sports nerds, right? Like it's the game for them. It's like they wanna take control of their team, and for some reason, it's not. It's like fantasy football and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, very similar to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a similar mechanic, and and that's something with the baseball game I've really tried to hit up a lot of fantasy baseball sites. I've been on some fantasy baseball podcasts and so forth, and yeah, I mean it's a similar idea, but I think people really get into our game because there's that whole AI component to it. So fantasy baseball, you're just kind of dealing with what happens in the real world, but I think with our game, you can really kind of build your own world and watch it evolve, and you can create fictional players if you want, and there's just so much more you can do, and that's what we're building toward with the hockey game. I mean, there's a lot of that in there too.
There is one question in chat that I'll just throw to you guys now. When is the update coming out today?
Jeff?
We're working on it at the moment. Yep, that's something for me. I'm actually, as we're doing this, I'm talking back and forth with Sebastian about some last minute things, but it's coming along very well. Stability seems to be really well. I tested it for quite a few seasons yesterday, the latest build. No crashes, nothing like that. And as long as we can get these, I think I gave him a list of 4 things to clean up, and I think he's on 2 or 3 right now. So we're very, very close. Just have to get that done, do a quick test build, and assuming that goes okay, hours away.
Yeah. So meanwhile you're meanwhile you're waiting for the update, you can keep watching this and come with questions about features or how things work, like anything that you've been thinking about, wondering. You can shoot in the chat, and I'll make sure they get that question. And so what I want to know more about though is the development of the game. Like you said, it's been in development for 3 years. Like what are the stages? Like how did you start? What is the first part? And like until announcing it and stuff like that. Jeff, I would say.
Well, originally the first stage was just getting the basic outline of the game built, and Sebastian and Malta had their game that they started from, and basically combined elements of that with the existing out of the park engine for things like transactions and roster management and that sort of thing. So it sort of branches off from out of the park baseball a couple of versions ago. And then from that point, it's sort of where I came in, getting the content in, the database built, which has been ongoing for the last year and a half, 2 years. Filling it up with players and team data and researching all of that and testing it out in the game. And then from the last year or so forward, it's just a matter of refining systems, seeing what we want to add in. The historical play has been in there pretty much since the beginning. That was kind of my thing all along. And we've had people wanting to be able to do fictional custom leagues as well. So that was added, and made it to the beta launch back in March. And at that point, we started, deciding, okay, what parts of it do we need to upgrade? What things aren't working well. So we wound up pulling a few things out, putting some new code in, and that's pretty much what we've been doing for the last 6 months, and then the last month or so trying to refine it as we headed toward release. And I think we overreached a little bit, and The release was a bit rough, but we're getting that back into shape now. Hopefully today's patch will get everyone happy with the state of the game.
Has there been any like big, what's the word? Well, problems during development? Like, has there been or stuff that you've been crap? Now my English turned crap. Has there? Yeah, I'm struggling now. But you know, has there been any like moments where you've been like, holy shit, how do we solve this? Like big things that you've been trying to work out how to fix, or you know, getting to work like you want to, like struggling with, like anything in particular in your memory that you could tell us about?
Well, one of the things that stands out is probably the way the game handles the tough guys, the fighters, who basically sit out in some leagues, not all of them. I don't think there's anything like that in Sweden, but they they'll keep a player on teams will keep a player on the roster to do the fighting, and that's about it. So figuring out the logic of how that works and having it apply to some leagues and not others, and to have an actual reason in the game to put these guys on the ice for the human player. So it's a matter of balancing that, and the roster handling. How do you pay these guys when you trade somebody like that? What is he worth? When you sign him to his contract, how much is he going to ask for? And there's a bit of a balancing act to that, and we're still working on getting that right. I think we've got the roster management side of it almost figured out, and there is an effect. I'm not going to say exactly what it is to having those guys in your lineup. It is worth having them in there. There's definitely something that it will definitely help your team in the game to have one guy who's a very aggressive player, a very good fighter in the lineup. It's just a matter of right now of getting the computer player to understand that and use them in the lineup properly.
Nice. A good question in chat though that I was gonna get to. We can go for that now.
Yep.
He's asking for when will online leagues be introduced? I guess that is involved with multiplayer.
Yeah. We've originally we were hoping to get that into the game for release, but then it became apparent about 6 weeks to a month back, or 6 weeks to 2 months back, that we weren't going to make it. So we decided, okay, that will be our first major content patch. We'll put in multiplayer for that. So once we've got this stability patch done, I think it's not absolutely carved in stone as a plan at this point. I think we'll do one more patch to address certain realism issues in the game, like the way free agents are handled and the tough guy issue I mentioned. Mm-hmm. That'll probably be coming next. Then the first serious content patch, which will add, adding major features to the game, will be adding multiplayer, and probably a little bit more to custom leagues at that point too. And although this may happen before that patch, we'll also be adding some more playable leagues to the game as well.
Let's see what they're saying in chat though.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because they're saying, oh good, because it's easy to poach free agents from other leagues. Yeah, also that, me as a Swedish player, I quickly realized that a lot of North American players came to Sweden as well.
Yeah, but I understand. I know what's going on with that. I've already got a plan to fix that. There just wasn't time to test it properly this week, so that'll be in the next one.
So, I guess this might be a question for Brad. You guys probably know better than I do who's going to answer what, so you get with that. But I was thinking about earlier, we talked about the different way, like you can play historical, like you can start it like from in this game you can start from, what is it, like the 40s?
1947.
Yeah, and like you don't have so much stats now for this game, but like in baseball, like how many people do that? Like, is that a major part? Like, a lot of people like to do that, like replay history, or do they prefer to play from now and forward into the future?
Yeah, no, there's. I don't have. Do we have exact numbers on that, Brad? I don't think we do.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, we've done some surveys in the past, and I'm trying to remember. We haven't done a survey in probably 2 years. We have done some surveys to see how people play the game. I do know, I mean, anecdotally, I can say that, yeah, the baseball game. I'm talking about. And I can say anecdotally, there's a lot of interest in playing historically. There are a lot, because there are different ways you can play historically in the baseball game, and things that have been added over time that I'm sure will come to the hockey game at some point. So you can, real players in the baseball game will show up when they really did, or you can have them enter the draft, so you can have a shot at Ted Williams or Babe Ruth or Sandy Koufax or whoever if you want them on your team. And then you can also, now a new thing is you can have players randomly show up through history. So players from all different eras can show up at random times, which is kind of fun. I don't know if I assume that'll probably come to the hockey game at some point, not a high priority.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of stuff that's in the baseball game right now, and eventually we'll steal it, but it's just a matter of fitting it all in.
Right, and and when it comes to historical play, we just have to get that working first in the hockey game and make sure it's all functioning properly and get all that down, before we start doing the fun stuff like, hey, have I don't know, Gordie Howe show up today, in the modern era or something. So it'll take time for that.
I guess people can expect, though, like really good features from the baseball game will be eventually somehow
definitely
incorporated into the hockey game.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, we have the experience doing it. I mean, Marcus is always coming up with really cool ideas, I think, every year for the baseball game. That's one thing that that people definitely, point out a lot about us, is that we don't just, update the rosters and everything. I mean, we add some cool features and do a lot of neat things with the game. I mean, he's always looking for stuff like that. So obviously that's going to find its way into the hockey game at some point. It's just, you can't compare version 1 of FHM with version 14 of the baseball game, because we've had 14 years to really build it up and do so much with it. And the hockey game, as Jeff can attest, was built from the ground up. I mean, we couldn't use a lot of the code. We could borrow some code, I think, but a lot of it, had to be redone because it's just a different sport and it functions in different ways. I'm sure Jeff can probably talk about that some more.
That's actually more of a Sebastian thing, and he's not here,
okay.
So I'll pass on that one.
You guys mentioned Sebastian
I'm
a lot.
not a coder.
You guys mentioned Sebastian a lot. What's his role?
He's the lead coder. He's the guy who's talking with me back and forth on Skype right now on the other channel about the patch. And so, yeah, basically anything. The major systems in the game are the way it's working right now, I'll try to write them up in sort of pseudocode, and then he's the one that winds up implementing them in the game, and he knows how to do that properly, and I don't.
Swedish Game Freak in chat says that he likes historical mode and that he'll start a save with Quebec in 1979. So it is definitely something people do like.
You could actually even start with the Nordiques earlier. You can, because the WHA, the old World Hockey Association, is in the game from 1972 on. Although it's not working at the moment, but we want to get it to the point where you can the 4 teams that moved from the WHA to the NHL in real life will transfer over. Right now, if you play as the Nordiques in 1972, your team will die in 1979, and you'll have to take over the NHL Nordiques manually.
Oh, okay.
At the start of the season.
Oh, so you're gonna get it work like as it happens.
Yeah, as it actually happened. Eventually, we'd like to get it so you're playing the WHA version, and you'll just seamlessly move over to the NHL Nordiques when the NHL WHA merger from '79 happens.
So, Jeff, will there be like a news item that'll pop up saying, there's a merger and these teams have moved and now you're managing the Nordiques in the NHL, that kind of thing?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So right now, because I admit I haven't played that, so the Nordiques die, so does the game tell you, like, your team is gone now?
Yeah, you get a message. Essentially, yeah. I think there's a bit of a placeholder message in there about that. And
okay.
Gary, who writes the text, will probably come up with something a little better when we've got the whole thing implemented. But right now, it'll tell you die, and all of a sudden you're unemployed and your players are free agents, and there's a new team in the NHL.
Mossfan says kudos to FHM for including all the English leagues with correct player names, etc. Great start even with problems in game. It can only get better. That's true.
Yep, I have to give credit there to Colin Calvert, who's run an Eastside Hockey Manager fan site for many years and is a big fan of English hockey. He's in the UK and he's done just a fantastic job of getting the 3 levels of UK hockey, and I think there's one more to go that he wants to add.
Wow.
So yeah, and as it happened, I mean, I guess I don't know if it's the football manager effect or what, but we actually do very well in sales in the UK, which is kind of surprising because it's not a huge hockey country.
That's
But
true, but it
yeah,
has to be though. Isn't that the logical choice? I mean, uh, isn't that logical though? Like, Football Manager is huge there. I mean, people will be trying out different manager games. I'm pretty sure.
yep,
Yeah.
that's what I assume is happening.
Yeah,
They're happy to have
yeah,
them.
yeah. I think so. I mean, like you said, Andreas, you tried out the baseball game just to
Hmm.
play the manager game, even though you didn't know much about baseball. And I see that happen sometimes online, where people will be into FM, or especially FM, and they'll say, and they'll just buy the baseball game. Actually, there's a guy named Andy Bush who has a radio show in the UK, and he contacted us at some point last year, and I set him up with the game, and he's reviewed us in a newspaper over there, and and I've been going back and forth with him by email, and I've told him a bit about how baseball works. He wants to know how a hit and run works and things like that. And I've explained it to him, and but he came to it just from an interest in management games. I mean, he just thought that sounded fun, and so he thought he'd learn about learn about baseball along the way. So I guess there's that kind of effect where people just love management games and will just try just about try a cricket management game, right? Yeah. Curling, the
I mean,
curling sim.
there are only so many good ones though, to be honest. At least from the ones I've tried. Okay, so on another question, I actually have two in mind right now though. But on a curious question, because as far in as I've gotten into this game yet, and it's early, I know. I'm just very curious about the future, and I haven't played that much of the Baseball Manager. I played quite a bit of the one I got, even though I was like, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. But very curious about, because if you look at the Football Manager game by Sports Interactive, they've gotten quite long into how the media interacts with you, right?
Yeah,
Is
and
is that something
ironically
you
enough,
plan?
that's actually a lot of the guy who's doing a lot of the coding for that right now is Risto Remus, the who created Eastside Hockey Manager. He stayed with Sports Interactive after EHM went under, and
Ah,
I think that's part of his new job now.
I see. Okay, okay. It was one of the guys from that team that made that happen later. Okay, cool. Is that something you're also looking to do to give the manager more interactions with the media, you know, press conferences and
Eventually,
whatnot?
yeah, but it's not going to be a real high priority because it's really programming and time intensive to do all that, and that we just don't have the
Yeah.
resources to put into it at this point. There's other things that we want to do first, things like international play and
Yeah,
the
I was gonna
proper
get to that.
preseason. And, yep. Go ahead then.
Yeah, and I'll just take that right now then. Like, okay, so because what I want to do very soon here is also talk a little bit like about like what features we can expect with patches in this version, and what features we can expect that you will have far in the future with, or like whatever you might have planned for the next release. If you can talk about that, we'll see. But about national teams, what can you tell us about that though? Because that's definitely something I'm waiting for to play the World Cup.
Yeah, that'll be something for the next release, 2000 next September 2014, I guess.
Okay, it will be the next game.
2015.
The next game.
Yeah, it's a little it was just too much to do at this stage, but it's definitely. I mean, everybody loves playing that in Football Manager and enjoy playing it in EHM, and I want to see it in as
Obviously.
well. Even EHM never got to the point where that I wanted to get it to, where it would have international play for the very lower levels of the IIHF championships, getting down into the Australias and Bulgarias and South Koreas, and I'd like to see all of that in right from the start when we get the hockey game working in FHM.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, okay, but then at least people, at least watching this or watching this later, will know that it's a feature planned for the next release, for next year's game.
Yep, yep.
Okay, but that's good to know. It's good to have that clear. So how about that though? Like what features except multiplayer like that feels big enough to mention are we expecting to get in patches now, leading up to next release? Any more
Well,
you can mention?
multiplayer will definitely be the biggest one.
Okay.
Then there are a few more things we'd like to add to the custom fictional setup. And then the other big thing, content-wise, it'll be coming along, and it won't be just in one patch. It'll be sort of gradually coming through roster updates through the year. Will be additional playable leagues. I think we're really close to having Switzerland ready.
Yeah, you need that one.
Switzerland. Oh, drawing a blank right now. There's another. Oh, the Asia League in Japan, China, Korea is pretty close as well. Slovakia is a little farther back than that. We want to get a few more levels in Finland and Sweden as well. And
I was shocked. I was shocked that you had the second division in Sweden, actually.
Oh, we're going to go farther than that.
Which
the researchers want to go down to, well, I guess you guys call it what, the first division and the second division, and then those are actually the third and fourth layers.
Yeah, exactly. It is the SHL, which is the top one, previous called Elitserien, and then it is Allsvenskan, yes. Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. I like Anthony is saying I liked how in Eastside Hockey Manager you can watch the games. Yeah, that's a good topic. Can you add that soon, or is it too much? He's probably talking about some sort of match engine.
Yeah, the match engine. Well, having it the way Eastside did it is going to be. It's going to take us quite a while to do something like that. When it was added in for Eastside, that was basically Riz taking a whole year off of development to do nothing but code that. Yeah. And that's just way more expensive than we can afford in development right now. But we don't. It's fairly bare bones at the moment, so we really want to make it a lot better than it is right now. That's something that we'll be, doing minor enhancements to, I think, with this version, and then probably much bigger improvement next year.
Can one assume that you guys intentionally has gone how to say you release this game with, let's say, maybe less features, but also maybe with less financial risk, and to gradually grow as people buy the game. You can invest more, instead of making a big loss. To gradually grow and evolve the game.
That's a fair comment. I mean, the main idea with this version of the game is to create a stable base to build on. I don't want to be having to go back, waste time in future years fixing things that were broken right from the start. Mm-hmm. So what you see in this version may be a little basic, a little Spartan, but it's that way because it'll let us build on top of it.
Yeah.
So it's mainly about using resources efficiently as we go on to future years, so we're not having to recode things or wind up with a mess of broken code that we've got to deal with 2 or 3 years down the road, because that eventually got to be a bit of a problem when I was working on EHM, having to go back in and recode stuff that we would have liked to have that way from the beginning.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can avoid that with FHM.
Do you have anything you want to add, Brad?
Well, I would just say, that just goes back to the fact that, people can't compare Out of the Park 14 with FHM, version 1. I mean, it's just, it took 14 years to get to that point with the baseball game, and you can't expect. I think some people thought we would just take that and port it over to hockey, and all those features, all that functionality would be there, and it doesn't really work that way. So
you don't really do a home run in hockey.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could have just ported it straight over, and you'd hit a home run. Yeah, Sidney Crosby, it's a home run. What? We'll just throw a baseball field. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it just.
Yeah, it is totally different.
Yeah, so I've seen some comments where people seem to feel we could just sort of port the game over to hockey and kind of swap out, do a search and replace or something, and change terms.
Oh, if it were only that easy.
Yeah, exactly. Just run it through some kind of translator, and boom, it comes out the other side of a hockey game. And it's just, you really have to. I'm sure there was some code that was reused for certain things, but you really just had to. Those were the really very, very basic building blocks, and it had to be built from there just to get to where we are now, and then we'll keep building from here.
Don't you know that everybody is a game developer?
Yeah. Well, everyone.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's an amateur doctor, an amateur lawyer. I mean, everyone knows these things. Yes, and now Now everyone's an amateur game developer. They know how it works. Yeah.
I can't really complain though, because I mean I do exactly that with games that I play too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know. Right. I know. It's like,
complete
hey,
hypocrites
if
when it
that's
comes
not
to
working,
that.
what jerks? That's
Yeah.
not working right. There's such, yeah.
Obviously, we are all a bit short-sighted in that sense, maybe. Um, let's see here. There's been a few chats here. Anthony's definitely waiting for. He's definitely waiting for the patch. When will all? Let's see here. When will all the stats be implemented? Meaning, like goalie shutouts will be working? Is that broken?
Yeah, shoutouts are broken at the moment, but Sebastian, I know he's fixed that. That'll be in the patch today.
That will be in the patch. Caxon.
Yeah, and the I think another thing that we were having problem with was goalies' wins and losses records not being calculated properly, and we've worked on that too.
Anthony is saying, when I simulate games like how can you see all this, like how can you see all the stat leaders, but why is there no defense leaders? That would be a great if you can add that, Jeff. Says Anthony.
Oh, just yeah, I see what he's saying. Yeah, I can think about that. I'm not sure if we can put a filter on that particular screen, but I'll check with Sebastian on that one.
And Ryan Runer, after the next version of the game comes out, do they plan to keep 14? Do they plan to keep 14 updated with rosters and league movements and such? I see. Like when you release the next game, will the previous game still get updated rosters?
No, with the cutoff date for the roster, well, what we're going to do with the rosters, first we're going to freeze one on NHL opening night. So if anyone wants to just stick with those rosters, it'll be early October. And doesn't want to use the regularly updated one, they'll have that option. Mm-hmm. And then the updated version we'll keep doing through the trading deadline in mid-February. And eventually we'll stop at that point, because we have to cut it off at some point, because with the new version we're going to have to make changes to the database. And after that point, it gets a lot more complicated maintaining an updated version of the rosters for the older game. So there will be updated rosters through February, and then you won't see new ones until the beginning of the next year. I mean, I'm sure there'll be fan updates after that to with all the postseason trades and whatnot.
The game is really moddable. Like, it's easy to mod. For
not as much as I'd like at this point, but we're going to be releasing a few things, I think, and we want to make it a lot more moddable than it is, put it that way.
Will that be improved on the current version?
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Half Moon Rider just came here, he says. So I don't know, have this been asked already? So in some earlier beta version, it was possible to scout some certain team, like the team which I just started to coach. Now I can't do that anymore, sad face. Why this has been changed like that? One of the key thing in manager play is the scouting, and I would love to know what kind of players my team includes. After scouting my team, I will be more wiser what kind of player I should start searching. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, we did make some fairly big changes to the scouting system during the beta period. I've actually posted a long explanation of that on our general forum if somebody wants to go in and have a look. It's under the game systems discussion series that I've been doing. Basically, the way scouting works now, after the change, is there's sort of an inherent level of error built into the way most teams in there, sort of a general opinion about each player, and that can be very good or very accurate, or very inaccurate, and it can be inaccurate in either a positive or negative direction. And the role now of your scouts is to fix that error for you. So you have your scouts, you can assign them to various geographical regions, and pro and amateur. There's a amateur versus pro split as well. And anyone that falls into that category where you've got a scout looking at it, the skill of your scout will determine how much that problem gets corrected. So if you've got good coverage in an area, you'll get a much more accurate picture of the players. If you've got bad coverage, you're just getting what anyone can look up on the internet or in the scouting publications that come out each year, or hear on TV or the radio. Just sort of the general public opinion, which may or may not be accurate. And it's we added that fairly late, so it's a pretty rough interface right now. I definitely want to improve that and get a little more interactivity there. But right now, but I'm not really planning on adding the ability to scout specific teams or players back in at the moment. The way it doesn't really, I can think of a couple of ways to do it, but it wouldn't really work that well with the new system. But I'm keeping an eye on what people are saying about it. So I'll think about it if there's a lot of demand for scouting specific, more specifically than just a region.
Oh. I like how they in chat actually Kaxen asks the question, also has Allsvenskan, the second division in Sweden, been fixed so you can play the playoffs and advance to Elitserien, which is now called SHL. What does that stand for? Swedish Hockey League, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And
which is English, which makes no sense, but
you have NHL, you have KHL. I think is what the name of the Russian one.
Yeah, the Russian one. Well, Russian
and I guess Sweden now
Czech
wants to, they want to have a cool prefix like that. So
I mean, it makes more sense than what the Finns did. The Finns just changed their name from the SM Liga to Liga. So their top hockey league is called League now.
Yeah,
no other name, just League.
Yeah, Finns are funny people. But okay, but Kaxen asks that question, and Dave then answers. He said it was said on the forums it has been fixed, and you can confirm that, I guess, if that's
it has
the
been
case.
Fixed, yeah. It
Cool.
will be in a patch for today. I know. I remember Sebastian telling me specifically what the problem was. There was an issue with the way one particular list was being sorted, and it was pulling the wrong teams. So we should have that all working in the. And it was affecting promotion in Finland and Sweden. I think one or two other countries that have it.
Oh, he hadn't played since at the end of July as well. So.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. And Half Moon. Well, thank you. I'm Finnish. Well, I'm a joker. This Metagamingtv, this station, this place, this channel. Usually the bar is set pretty high. We make fun of everybody. Nobody gets away. So. Let's see. Now they're chatting. Is there a plan to add additional filters in the game for this current version? Filter by team, nationality, attributes, as well as similar checkbox for filter out unrealistic players in free agency, perhaps?
Yep, that's the free agent list right now is a little unwieldy when you open it up to.
It's sluggish.
It's taking forever to open. We couldn't get the filters in for this patch, but what we've done is just set it to by default go to I think it's a goaltender view right now. So you're cutting the list down to about 20% of what it was, and that'll help. And that'll help in that regard. You're not going to freeze up when you open it right away. But I definitely want to get more and better filters in there. Mm-hmm. Nationality, age. League appropriate. That's a good idea. If they only show players with certain ability levels. I can think of a way to do that. I think you can do.
There's a lot of filters. If you start thinking about it, you'll have a long list, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're playing Football Manager, they've got that whole separate interface that's just nothing but complicated filters. So yeah, it'd be nice to have something like that, but. We'll get a few more in at least for sure.
Yeah. What's with the shot range? Why can't there be shot power? It would make it so much easier, says Anthony.
The shot range that's actually based on some research. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy he's done a lot of research about shot range and location, and sort of the effect that I wanted to get rather than having. Typically in hockey games, you've got a rating for slap shot, a rating for wrist shot, but it doesn't make quite as much sense, I think, for this type of game. So what we've got instead is the range and the accuracy. So you sort of got a little cone out on the ice where where you're in your ideal range. Your accuracy is going to function at peak potential. And as you go in and out from that, accuracy drops off.
Okay.
So it's a different way of looking at it, I know, but I'm fairly happy with the results of it so far. And I think once we're able to start displaying in-game things like shot location, both from where you're shooting on the ice and where you're targeting the goalie. I think people will understand where we're headed with that a little bit more, and we'll be able to show that it's doing it the way it actually does in real life.
Great. Okay, so we're just gonna take that magical 5-minute break, and we'll be back. I do have a question about some of your other titles. I know that people in chat wants to know your favorite hockey teams, so we'll take that when we get back.
Okay.
And Sorrow wants to thank Jeff for answering all his questions at the forum. A lot of sites just ignore you, so thank you, Jeff.
No trouble.
So we'll just
Thank
take
you,
that.
Jeff.
And yeah, just thank you for making this game. Okay, guys, we'll be back in like 5 minutes, and so don't go anywhere. Meanwhile, please follow this channel. We'll be doing more interviews like this. We'll be interviewing another game developer this Thursday, the very same. We'll be interviewing. I should know the developer's team's name, but it was something that didn't have anything to do with the game. But it's Soulforge. It's a digital collector card game, which seems to be what everybody's making right now. So that will be on Thursday. So yeah, we'll be right back after this. Let's see. I guess you guys watching can hear me now, and I'll stop the music. There we go. The music has stopped. The music is, by the way, if you like that music, it's from Ronald Jenkins, and let's also swap the scene so you can see us. Ronald Jenkins, who has allowed us to use his music on this show, so we'd like to thank him for that. And so, if you like his music, you can go to ronaldjenkins.com and purchase it there. It's pretty cheap, and he does some really cool beats. Okay, so the surprise that I mentioned in chat as soon as I got the green light is that we're actually giving away a free game, a free copy of the game franchise Hockey Manager, which I'll do at the end of the show as a raffle. So everybody who's watching at that time and following the channel will have a chance at getting a free full license of the game. Which you can give to a friend if you already have the game, or if you don't have the game, then you save $1 or $2. So thank you, Brad, for that.
Hey, you're welcome.
That's awesome. Okay, let's just kick it off with what is your favorite teams then? I know Jeff's team, but let's start with Brad then. Brad, which is the favorite team and why? Or well, why? But yeah.
The Flyers. Growing up, I grew up in the South Jersey area, so I'm a Phillies fan as well, and Flyers fan is in addition. So yeah, that's my team.
Flyers, huh? Okay. And Jeff?
I'm a Canucks fan. Grew up with it. Started watching when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, 77, 78. Just when we started bringing the Swedes in, Thomas Gradin, Lars Lindgren, all of those guys. Didn't see a winning season until my last year of college. It's gotten a little bitter since then. A couple of Game 7 losses in the finals haven't helped much, but you deal with that. You're a Canucks fan, you're going to be disappointed.
Promised Pain says, I love Philly fans, especially their Crosby sucks chants.
Yeah, they have a lot of fill in the blank sucks chants. So at all their Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, yeah.
And my team is Detroit Red Wings. And I don't know why, because I'm not from Detroit. I'm from Sweden. But
there you go.
It was the team that I somehow picked. I remember I always go about thinking about Sergei Fedorov, who played there quite a long time, Steve Yzerman, being two of my all-time favorite players. And there's been quite a lot of Swedish players in that team. That could probably be the reason. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly, Sederberg being there right now. So Detroit, when I started up my first game with Franchise Hockey Manager, which I just called Test NHL, I just picked Detroit out of, it was a no-brainer, obviously. I guess everybody do it. They picked their favorite team, obviously. That's awesome. So okay, before Brad has to leave, I do have a certain question about another title which I want to get out of the way, which is because if you go to their main page, there are more than one title. There is obviously Out of the Park Baseball, which is in the name of the developer. So I guess that's for sure. But also, what interested me was that. Because I'm actually also quite interested in boxing, and the Ultimate Boxing Simulation game. Could you quickly just tell us what that game is about? How? Yeah, tell us about that game.
Yeah, it's a title about
What is it?
Title Bout Championship Boxing basically is a sim that lets you pit boxers against each other. You can pretty much choose any boxer. The database has thousands of boxers in it. You could choose anyone throughout history. You can, and it's got trainers and cutmen and referees and other people, real ones in there, so you can recreate classic fights or create what if matchups. You can set up tournaments. There's an auto scheduler that lets you do a bout. You could schedule a bout to run 100 times and see how many times out of 100 a certain boxer would win. So it's
You're the promoter? Can you play it like that, or are you just God?
yeah, you're kind of God. There's no career mode in it or.
Okay.
That's something will come in the next version. Paul Norman, PISD has taken over the game. It was an OOTP Development's game.
Mm-hmm.
Andreas, who works in Out of the Park Baseball, kind of, I guess, created it, or I don't know, created it.
Actually,
I mean, it goes back
quite a few years.
Right.
The original game title is an old board game, Avalon Hill, going back. I had it in the early 80s. Jim and Tom Trunzo were the guys that created it originally. They sold it. They did a few computer versions. Eventually, sold the rights to Andreas, who now sold them on Paul.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I knew there was the Avalon Hill game, and I was fuzzy on the early days of the computer version. Okay. I didn't realize they had they sold the rights to Andreas, and he sold them to Paul. So yeah, Paul's the guy now. So there's a new version of that game, titled about 2013, and then yeah, there'll be some kind of career play. Where you kind of like manage, boxers. That'll be in the next version, next full version, which will probably be next year.
Okay, cool. Because it was something that caught me by surprise when I came for Franchise Hockey Manager. I was like, wait, they have a boxing game? and yeah, I'm a huge fan of boxing. I love it. So I was like, really awesome, like great. Okay, so. Since I don't know who knows about this, since we soon gonna let Brad go, because you have Inside the Park Baseball, which that's the is that the tablet like?
No, yeah, Inside the Park Baseball is a role-playing game.
Oh,
that came out several years ago. People keep asking for a second version of that, and we'll see what Marcus wants to do. But that's a role-playing game where you are a baseball player, and so you kind of start and work your way up, and you work your way up through the minors and try to see if you can get a shot at the majors and stick around. And so yeah, it's kind of a game where instead of you're taking the big picture view, you're taking the view of the single player on the field.
You might have sold another game. That sounds really interesting, actually. If you can make that for hockey, wow, yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think it's something we might think about at some point. I'm not sure. I don't think it. Brad can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's sold real well for the baseball version.
I'm not super familiar with it. It was before I started with the working for them, but yeah. I mean, I think that's why there hasn't been a second version since then. Every so often, someone will say, "Hey, you're gonna do Inside the Park too?" And we say, we don't know. We'll see. We're kind of busy with everything we got right now. Because as far as tablets go, there's OOTP Baseball, which is
because I was going to ask about tablets, like
yeah. So that's the baseball game that runs on iPhone, iPod Touch, and iPad. It'll come to Android at some point, and then. Jeff would know more about this, but I know we want to, bring the hockey game to mobile at some point, but I assume that's kind of a ways down the line.
Yeah, probably. I don't think we'll be doing something like that this year, but
yeah,
definitely something to think about at some point. I think it's a good way to bring people into the game.
It's the perfect game for it.
Like, version of it.
Manager games are sort of, in my opinion, made to work on a tablet, like, because it's such, you can be anywhere. It's, because Manager game can be slow paced, like you can do it in your own when you have time and stuff like that. It's definitely something that works real well.
When we had our meeting in New York, I spent the flights there and back playing IOTP on the phone and a little bit of Football Manager too, handheld.
Yeah,
it's a really good environment for a simple management game.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I'll sit there with my iPad and play the baseball game. It's just a much more scaled down version of the game. It doesn't have the full minor leagues, doesn't have the commissioner mode and a lot of the customization options and things like that. But it's kind of like a gateway, to the bigger world. So our hope is people kind of get interested in that, get hooked on it, and then want to kind of step up to the bigger version on the computer.
Awesome.
Because somehow we have to figure out how to reach that million-person market that Football Manager gets to.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I thought that was like easy.
Yeah,
sure, no problem.
I mean, if they know, then everybody knows, like, right? Okay, before you leave, Brad, your favorite hockey player all time?
My favorite hockey player all time. I'm going to.
You can pick how many you want. I just. There's no rules here.
I'm going to go with something probably really unconventional. I'm going to say Ron Hextall, and that's because I admit I fell off the hockey bandwagon in the late '90s and started to get back into it a bit. But I used to pay more attention to the Flyers back in the days of the Crazy Eights line and Hextall, and Hextall was always fun to watch because I mean, he scored. Is he like the all-time scoring leader among goalies in hockey? I think he might be. You know, he was aggressive. He was in a,
All-time
and
penalty
that,
leader too, I think.
yeah, and he was always so much fun to watch. I mean, he did stupid things sometimes. He'd come out of the crease, he'd come out too far and get caught in no man's land, and they'd score on him. But he'd come out, he wouldn't be afraid to check guys, and he'd anytime he had a chance to take a shot down the ice, he would do it. He was just, I don't know. I mean, it's like in football, I always loved Randall Cunningham with the Eagles because, you know, he'd scramble, he'd wiggle his way out of trouble and throw a 50-yard pass or something. It was always, I like players who are kind of unconventional and quirky. So when it comes to hockey, I know it's a weird pick. It's not Gordie Howe or Gretzky or whatever, but I just always loved watching Hextall for that reason.
And for all you Europeans, when he said football and talked about wiggling and stuff, he talked about American football, yeah, because we don't wiggle
NFL.
in soccer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Jeff, you go.
My all-time favorite, Dave Tiger Williams, all-time NHL penalty minute leader. He came over to Vancouver just when I was about 10 years old, traded over from Toronto, just like Hextall, really outrageous guy, fought all the time, scored some goals for us. We went to the finals with him in the lineup in '82. Was heartbroken when they traded him away for absolutely nothing to Detroit, actually. And he went on, had a few more good years after that. I wish had been in a Canuck uniform, but definitely my all-time favorite. Right now, I'd probably have to go with a non-Canuck. I like Shea Weber in Nashville. I watched him play junior. I'm here in Kelowna, where he played for the Kelowna Rockets in the WHL. Growing up, I like his style. Big physical guy, huge slap shot from the point. Really fun player to watch.
Yeah, Jeff lost me with that one, says Lamb Klein in chat. Definitely precedes my era, lol. I probably, yeah, it's the same with me there. I was like, who? But
sorry, I just want to say, Jeff, so that's where that quote came from. They're done like dinner, that shows up in the game.
Tiger, yep.
Was that you? And was that you? Did you put that in the game?
I may have.
It might have been.
There's actually a couple from Tiger in the quotes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we need more quotes too. By the way, the baseball game's got tons of them. That's something we can beef up over time.
Yep, we will.
Small things that just make people go, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think people love that at the baseball game. We've got trivia and other things that kind of go by when you're loading the game, and we're doing that in the hockey game too. It's kind of fun.
Definitely. All right, I know you need to run, Brad. I'm not gonna keep you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I like I said, I'm heading out of town, and I wasn't originally going to be going out of town. My wife's got a Girl Scout thing, but I'm going to be going with my son to do some stuff. So,
Brad, how old is your wife?
How old is my wife? My wife's 47. Why?
Okay, so she's not actually in the Girl Scouts.
Oh, no, yes. My wife's in Girl Scouts. Yes, my wife's. Yes, well, Jeff, I live in California where things are different here. Okay?
All right, yeah, okay, I forgot.
You wouldn't understand our untraditional lifestyles. It may be a forbidden love, but it's still a love nonetheless.
Oh,
no, I know. I've just probably opened myself up to something. My wife's a Girl Scout leader. My daughter's in Girl Scouts. She's 11. She's 11. She's in Girl Scouts. My wife's the leader of the troop. She's the one who's got to keep all the girls in order. My son's 6, and we're going to go up. He's going to play with a friend of his and all that. So we're just going to tag along. But
okay, I won't get you in any more trouble now.
It's been a pleasure having you, though. It's been a pleasure. I'm really grateful for allowing me to do this show with you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I'm sure Jeff can handle any and all questions from here on out.
Yeah, we'll go back to the questions people had in chat. There's been a few about Franchise Hockey Manager, so we'll go back to that.
Yeah, and I hope you have us back on again. I'm sure Jeff and I would love to come back on again at some point.
Yeah.
We can maybe even do some multiplayer game.
Yep.
Yeah.
At some point, at some time, we'll see how that works. Like, I'm just saying it and realizing, wait, how many days will we be playing that? But I don't know. Like, we'll see. There will be more things in the future, definitely. And as soon as there's big major updates, we could just do some really short, tiny things, maybe just for YouTube or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
definitely.
All right.
Thank you, Brad.
See you, Brad.
Thanks, guys. All right, bye.
Bye.
And just on the topic of updates, I was just talking to Sebastian while we were in the break, and they're putting together what we hope is the release candidate build for the, well, it is the release candidate build, what we hope will be going up as a patch. We just have to do a little testing of that once he's done with that, but won't be too much longer, hopefully.
Cool. Okay, great. There you go, guys. Yippee! Is the first reaction in chat. Let's see. What questions do we have here? Meanwhile, in the break, people saying "svenskar överallt," which is Swedes everywhere in Swedish. Yeah, hockey is big here. I never said about my favorite player. Oh, well, I did sort of Sergei Fedorov, but I mean, obviously, if I were to go with something more close to heart, it would obviously be Peter Forsberg, and closely followed by Mats Sundin. Peter Forsberg? I mean, just like the best Swedish player ever. Like, how is there anyone following hockey who have not seen the replay of his penalty goal in the Olympics when Sweden won? No? Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a long one for you, and yeah, prepare yourself. Are other factors other than finance and league reputation a factor in a player deciding if they wanted to join your team? Looking at it from a UK perspective, North Americans may like to come over rather than elsewhere in Europe due to the language, player with a fellow player in the team, and if they had college hockey experience, they can come over here and do a post-grad or complete their degree while playing elite league. This sometimes allows players that normally would go elsewhere for more money to want to join a UK elite team.
I didn't know that about the college situation. That's interesting. I'll have to think about how to work that into the game. Yeah, there's a few factors that besides just the basic financial ones that are considered, and that's part of what we're doing with trying to fix that problem where it's a little too easy to sign North American players in Europe right now. I'm going to add a couple of things into the considerations for when a player is moving to a different country. Or at least a different continent, and make that a little more difficult. There's also a factor that certain players are more concerned with whether or not they're going to a winning team, and I'm probably forgetting some things as well. But yeah, it's not just strictly a financial thing.
Okay, cool. I'm scrolling here. Generally going same guy. I haven't read this yet. Generally going on what I mentioned here. There in the future relation between players. He says generally going on what I mentioned there in future. Will relationships between people have a significant impact on who teams sign, and maybe you could ask that player to introduce you to his friend, and they could be a lot closer if in the same position or line. Okay, so relationships between players, characters.
Yeah, that's definitely something I want to improve. I've got a system in mind. Usually, the way it's done in this sort of game, I know Football Manager does it that way. Is you specify you've got a list of favorites and a list of guys he doesn't like. Rather than doing it that way, what I want to do is sort of have independent little associations of players. Let's say you've got a group of players that wins a championship together at the junior level, and so everyone on that championship team gets some degree of association with each other, and then they tend to stick together later in their careers. Or there could be family associations where you got the Sutter brothers and then their second generation of all their sons and in-laws, any sort of group that has some sort of common bond. And handle it that way rather than just having it the straight one-to-one relationship, which gets really awkward for database purposes. And that way, if you've got, you could have, instead of just having a few, like 3 or 4 specific one-to-one relationships between players, because then when you're dealing with something like the Sutters, where you've got probably 10, 15 players, you don't have to decide which specific ones to give the relationship to. If you've just got one big group that they all belong to, then you could model that a lot better, I think.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so Anthony's been craving for this one. Will you be adding anything else for Custom League in today's update?
In today's update, no. That's probably going to be something. Wait, now I have to think now. I said about that. I mean, we definitely fixed a couple of problems with custom leagues. I know they were crashing after the first off season. I tested one a few hours ago, and it goes through the off season fine, starts the second year. So I know that's not a problem anymore. So most of what's in today's update for custom leagues is just fixes of things that should have been working at release and weren't. But
might feel like adding stuff since they will work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And but as far as expanding to it, I mean, I definitely want to add a bunch of new league configurations. It's right now that's mainly dependent on the schedules we have available, and I know that I've got a big pile of them that we haven't put into the game yet. That we can add. So I think there's 39 or 40 possible custom configurations now, and we should be able to add a lot to that. And then there are just things we don't allow to be edited right now that we have to do a little more testing on. We'll be opening that up as well, and that'll probably come in the second patch or in the first big content patch that the multiplayer comes in on. Because anything that comes in for multiplayer, we really need to have the custom league set up first, because that's going to be one of the common formats for multiplayer leagues. I'm sure people playing in custom leagues.
Definitely. So, I'm still trying to scroll. There's been a few comments. Did they say we'll be adding custom leagues? Shit, I had a question here, which I obviously lost while focusing on what you were saying. Yeah, Anthony pretty much said, well, that was the question. He actually says that Custom League is one of his favorite parts of the game other than KHL. And that makes me wonder, Anthony, where are you located? Where are you from? If you can tell me in chat, that would be really interesting to see where some of you guys, maybe all of you who chat, just, tell us where you're from. That would be really nice to see the geography of the people watching this. Otherwise, I'll just go into the stat tool after the show and look. Obviously, I swallowed in my wrong throat. And what's my brew? Well, I answered in chat. It's Norrlandsguld. It's just a lager. Nothing special, nothing fancy. Though my job actually is selling this stuff, and I have a big interest in it. I usually drink ales, pale ales. I actually just. This has nothing to do with hockey, but I just recently.
Beer has everything to do with hockey.
Okay then. Point. I sent in a special request to import a case of Zombie Dust, which is the name of an American pale ale made by shit, the name, I don't know the name. A small brewery outside of Chicago. You can't get their beer like anywhere in the world, or at least not in Sweden. So that will probably cost me a fortune just to import that one case. But I have a few people who wants to share that with me, so we'll see. And a lot of people is answering. We have people from Greensboro, USA. That's New York City, right? NC. Shit, I don't know all those prefixes.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Sweden, Finland, Scotland, Sweden, Canada, Long Island, New York. For sure, beer is very important. Beer, TV, and hockey. Three Floyds. See, the American knew which one I was talking about. Three Floyds is the brewery. Yeah. So they better. Alright. So, custom leagues. Did they say anything? A lot of penalty shot. Okay, guys, do you have any more questions, or should I just move on here? Okay, I'm curious, Jeff. I'm not sure if we touched this enough. Are there do you know any what would be the, if we were to move forward time, let's say that, and we were to say that, okay, we're now talking about the next upcoming release of the next game of Franchise Hockey Manager, what would be the features in that game that you would be pushing, this would be the new big included features?
It'll be a few months before we settle on all of that for sure, but obviously international play is the one big one, and mentioned that a little bit before, so that's definitely going to be one of the key new features. Something I want to add as well is preseason play. which we don't have exhibition games or the preseason international tournaments that happen in a lot of leagues, or the rookie camps that some teams hold. I want to add that all together in sort of a big comprehensive package. So there's something to do for you to do from between where the free agent signings start in July and late September, early October, when most leagues tend to start playing their seasons. So you've got something to do, say, from early September onwards. Play your exhibition games, your inter-squad games in camp, see how your rookies are doing, and then make some choices based on what you see there. I think EHM did something pretty similar. They really enhanced the preseason play between the first and second version, and that turned out well. So I think I'm inclined to do the same thing with our game. And then after that, I definitely want to improve the in-game engine a little bit more. The exact format that takes will be to be determined. Those are probably the big three things right now. I think I probably want to add in at least one more major feature, and then smaller enhancements to existing systems. But I want to have 3 or 4 big things to make the game worth buying next year. Yep. I just don't want to rehash it with better new rosters and polished interface and basically what EA does every year.
Oh, you did not just okay.
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine. I think we all.
But, I mean,
we all think it.
Yeah, but Sports Interactive is a pretty good model. They like to add significant features in every new version.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I don't know if we maybe do it even a little bit more than they do, but
part of your team did work on EHM with Sports Interactive, right? Like you did, so.
Yeah, I did. We've got quite a few people on the research team who were there. Victor Alvin is one of the Swedish researchers. I've known Vicky for 7, 8 years now. Alessandro is Italian, but researches our Russian leagues, and then they were both on the research team for EHM. There's been a few other people that aren't active on our research team right now, but did a little in the early stages. And we've got various people like Colin Calvert, I mentioned in the UK. He's had a EHM site for years, and he's done most of our UK league research for us. So there's quite a bit of old FHM or EHM guys working on the game.
You could plug his site. You could mention it if you want, if it's still alive.
EHMtheblueline.com.
That's one of the places I posted about this.
Yep. That's the best place to do it.
Yeah.
And the other big one is thebreakaway.net. That's another one of our testers runs that site.
I might have missed that.
I think actually most of the stuff on the Blue Line, their logos and whatnot have been moved over to the Breakaway now.
Ah, okay.
So that's probably the best place to go.
No, the Breakaway. No, I don't think my thread is up. Is it?
Oh, is that the one that got moderated on you?
Yeah, that's the one who's like I should have done it days ago, but obviously I did not because of things, and so I posted it today when I got home. Pretty much the same info as on the official forum, and oh well, your thread is waiting for being moderated, and I'm like, crap. Well, okay.
Oh well, that's Rand Gerald, one of our testers, runs that one. So
I'll have a talk with him. Okay, well, guys, I'm obviously thinking about running this up. We're getting very, very, very close to the max limit of 2 hours, which I pretty much promised, like, it won't be longer than that. So, but obviously you come with a few more questions, or at least one good one, so we'll take that, and yes, if you come with more good questions, I'll definitely make sure we get them because we have a little bit more time. I just want to do the raffle, give you guys a chance to win a free copy of the game. So and then end this so Jeff can get back at doing whatever he does.
Yeah, got a few things to get out today. Just a patch, that's all.
Yeah, just a patch. Because we're probably withholding that right now. Like, as long as Jeff is here, the patch is not coming.
No, you're not holding it up yet. I'll get a. Sebastian hasn't told me the new build is ready yet. So as soon as I get that, then I'll start testing that. Even if we're still in the middle of the interview, but
okay,
not here yet.
Alright,
It's
cool.
coming, though.
It's coming. It's coming, guys. So will there be player restrictions? Swedish teams are only allowed a few non-EU players on their teams, stuff like that. That's yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's right now we've got an artificial limit on the number of players they can have. I mean, that isn't technically there in real life. That's just mainly because we can't really model the sort of gentlemen's agreements that the way it works in Sweden and Finland, particularly, where you won't sign foreign players and you're allowed. So for the moment, we've just got a rule coded in that keeps them from signing that number of players. But I'd like to figure out a little more elegant solution to that, so it's a little closer to how it works in real life.
Yeah. Okay, we're actually obviously getting good questions here. Will this game or future versions come up with some surprise moves? For instance, Kovalchuk, hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Kovalchuk, yep.
Yeah, retiring, doing this quotations here, from NHL and moving to KHL. And are players perhaps more likely to go to KHL to get more ice time rather than be, say, third or fourth line NHLers, particularly if they are European?
The surprise moves, that's one of the things I want to steal from Out of the Park Baseball. They've got a whole system, the storyline system there will have that sort of unexpected thing happen, where there are off-field incidents, players get into trouble with the law, that sort of thing. Or in this case, we could have something where the player decides to retire and return to his home country. We weren't able to get that in this version. I'm hoping we can do something with it next version, although a lot of it is sort of really time-intensive text entry. That may tax our volunteers a little bit, but hopefully we can do that next time and get to have some more interesting off-ice events going on. What was the second part? He was asking about the ice time issue. No, that's not really modeled right now, but it's not really a bad idea, come to think of it. I'd have to give that a little more thought and figure out how to do that.
See, guys, you're even giving them new ideas and input here. That's lovely. Yes, Sorrow patch. Well, he asked patch tonight, and I guess the official answer is it's on its way.
Yep.
We've been saying that for quite a while. Depending on where you live, though, because it's past midnight here, so I'm not seeing the patch until tomorrow, probably. Because I'm gonna go to bed eventually. For that reason, maybe if you stay up. In each side Hockey Manager, players had intentions listed. For example, want top player, major, junior, and college. Maybe we could see this in FHM. Want to play in Europe, KHL, US Minor Hockey, or NHL, etc. Well, I guess
it's already in actually.
It's already in actually.
Yep.
Oh,
the
cool.
new players are the new players generated when they come in as 13-year-olds. They're given the setting they either want to play major junior in Canada, college hockey in the US, or European junior, and that setting varies obviously depending by what country they start in. But so Canadians will tend to want to play major junior, Americans will tend to want to play college hockey, and most European players will want to stay in their home leagues. But then there's a smaller number that will go elsewhere. But yeah, that's modeled right from the start.
So I had a question about this, about signing and stuff. It was a free agent in my save that I played earlier today. He said he wanted a 1-year contract. He had a $950,000 salary, and he would just not budge. Like, that's what I had to offer to get him. Like, I tried 6-7 times. I tried like the one click away from giving him the stuff he wanted. Yeah. So there's behind that I don't see is a lot of things influencing whether or not he wants to, or
whether there's a setting for the relative greed of the player.
Yeah.
Whether he's going to ask for a lot of money. There's another one that affects whether or not he wants to play for a winning team. For the computer control teams, the skill of the general manager can move that amount up and down.
Oh,
So if it,
is that something that moves though when you play? Like my skill, like my manager will, depending on how I do, will improve or?
Not right now. I mean, that's another thing I'd like to.
It probably has a little bit
along.
to do with reputation stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing I don't think the management games do very well right now. The role playing aspect of it.
Yeah.
You've got your player. You can. I mean, your manager in the game. You could maybe set your birth date, your home country. Some games let you set the city you're from. But beyond that, I don't think there's as much development there as there could be of your personality, of your skills, and make it more of. I'd like to see more of a role-playing type game influence on that, where you're developing a character as you go along.
Yeah. Okay. That's something I want to see too. Like that's actually like how I picture me playing is like I'm this manager now. I'm doing a career here.
Yep.
So to me, it is sort of a role-playing game, actually. So
yeah, I just like to enhance that a little bit more.
Yeah, anything that enhances that will make me a very happy player. EJ Styles, yeah, let's see. I guess we have two more questions. These two questions in chat now, and we'll do the raffle and we'll call it quits because now time definitely is running out. The KHL talked about in the future the possibility of having a Northern and Central European division. Is that something you guys have or would consider to include, say, 10 years into a KHL save, perhaps?
Right now, we can't do a lot with changing the structure of leagues as we go along. I'd like to be able to do that eventually. I know Out of the Park Baseball is a little more advanced, has some options where teams will randomly join the league, or the league will get restructured, and that's yet another thing I want to steal from them. Right now we can't do it, so it won't be happening in the first version, but in later ones, yeah, definite possibility.
And maybe you can set up fun stuff like that in the custom.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. And any news on competitions like European Trophy, Sprengler Cup, Continental competitions in Europe outside normal leagues?
We don't have a lot of those in right now. The one multi-league competition we have is the Canadian Memorial Cup, and that's been a little bit for the junior leagues. It's been kind of challenging getting that to work properly. So possibly we may add some more. And then another complicating factor with some of those tournaments is that they're either entirely or partially preseason, so that'll be something that will come in when we add the enhanced preseason next year. But something like the Spengler Cup, yeah, that would be interesting to have during the Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I definitely would like to see more of that in the game.
Great. All right. Clearing my throat. That's all for this time. It's been a great comeback for the one-on-one show. At least it was one-on-one once Brad left. Otherwise it was one-on-two. But it is the title of the show. We're gonna keep running with that, I'm pretty sure. We're gonna do a raffle, guys. We're gonna give away a copy of the game, a full license, which, well, yeah, you can give it to a friend if you already have the game, or if you don't have the game, here's your chance to win it. And all you need to do is is be watching right now and following the channel. So if you don't have an account on Twitch, hurry the freaking hell up to register real quick and follow the channel, because yeah, we're gonna give first dibs on those who follow. That's the only power that I have. that's like that's clicking there is buying the ticket to the raffle. Caxton says agreed on that one, and thanks again for making this game. Well, okay, no, okay. Grass has said thanks for answering my question, guys. Been an interesting listen. Caxton then said agree on that one, and thanks again for making this game. Almost made my year.
Well, thanks for buying the game, guys.
Yeah, he's a hockey nerd. Thanks, Jeff, for giving us some insight on the game. Now go and get the patch out.
I will. Working on it. As soon as I get off of this, first thing I'm doing.
Awesome. Well, I'll keep you here until we're done.
Yep.
So I don't feel all alone.
Yep. I still haven't heard back from Sebastian yet with the new build yet, so we're still good. I'd
We're
be
so
panicked if
good.
he suddenly says, "Okay, it needs to be tested now." But
Yeah, when you move
for
to
the time
Def,
being, we're good.
yeah, you move
Yeah.
to DEFCON 5, it's like, okay, it's time to go. Alright, I'm gonna open up the raffle system here, which is there's real. It's awesome. Like someone has developed a whole raffle plugin for Chrome browser just to work with, like that works with Twitch. It's amazing. I'm like, that's really good stuff. Makes it so easy. Um, Alright, so I'm updating. I hope you guys are following. I hope you guys are watching. I'm gonna actually wait for it to update a little bit more. Let's see. Wait, I think I need to actually clear the current speaker list. There we go. Clear it. Keyword. We don't need a keyword. Chat. Include people talking in chat. Include people from Twitch viewer list. Update. There we go. Updating it. See how many we get. It's gonna take a little while. It's being slow. Which gives you time to register if you haven't. May take several seconds. Yeah, it's definitely taking several seconds. I'm actually gonna update this page. There we go. I guess I need some raffle music. I don't have any, but that's why there's silence. Yeah, this plugin is being really slow right now. Actually, it's having trouble connecting to the chat. Ah, that's why it's being slow. Alright, obviously, people all of a sudden wants to be part of this. Come on. Come on. Oh, I know what's up. I need to close the... Ah, there we go. My bad. I had the chat in a pop-up, and that was messing with it. Ah. Well, I haven't had it pop up before, so there we go. Update. Come on. It's really being slow. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. Ah, oh, I see, because I was thinking, why is it less people in the raffle than who's actually watching? And it's because, obviously, it can only take people who actually have registered an account on Twitch. So if you're watching without an account, then obviously... And if you're watching without an account and haven't registered yet, you're obviously not interested. You probably already have the game, which I assume almost most of the viewers do. Would make sense, right?
Yep.
ISS rankings and scout rankings. Will we see it in the game?
We've got some draft previews already. I want to, improve as part of improving the scouting interface. Yeah, I think that's. I don't know if we'll do that sort of thing specifically, but something along those lines. Yeah.
Alright, cool. Alright, guys. I'm gonna click roll the dice. Actually, yeah, we'll make it a bit cheesy. I'll show you guys. Okay, wait, I need to view, scale viewport, make it a little bit smaller so I actually can fit it. There we go. So you guys will see. I'll add it to the stream. This is gonna be so ugly though. Screen region, and I'll just do it like this, I guess. Bam. So here's the plugin. I'm just putting it straight in the middle there. That's a little bit too big, maybe. Oh, frig it. There we go. I'm gonna click roll the dice, and we'll get a... I'll click update once more. And we'll click roll the dice, and one of you will win a copy of the game. Bam! FMV star. Is he here? You need to type in chat if you're here to get it. You're following Metagamingtv. That's awesome. He does not seem to be excited. He's not typing yet. If he doesn't type soon, we'll actually click roll again, which is just up here outside of view. It's been 30 seconds. I'll wait up until 1 minute.
FMV star, come on.
I actually recognize the name though. I think he was he here earlier? He might be a follower that that's been watching this stream before. I recognize the name. 10 seconds until I click roll again. Well, he might not want it, maybe. He's just sitting there being all quiet. Maybe he's on the bathroom. He's being like, missing this out. Okay, there we go. Rolling again. Another one getting it. Bidwin 13. That's that. He's been following this channel for quite a long time. Bijan, you want the game? People are being awfully quiet though. Bijan. Guys, now I'm starting to feel like the worst person giving out a game ever. Honestly? I'm gonna even test. Testing! Is chat working? Yes, it's working. Alright, we're closing the 1 minute mark again. Funny how old-time followers has been... Well, I don't know about FN-Star, but Bijan has been... he's a War Thunder player, I know, which is a totally different game. Do you know about it? Do you know War Thunder?
Don't recognize the name, no.
Oh, alright. It sounded like you were like, oh. And I was like, oh, really? Alright, here we go again. Okay, let's give it to someone who wants it. Grass's gut is not following Metagaming TV. You're not winning. Dave, a lot of numbers. Dave? Oh, he just typed in chat. I saw it. Top 200. Dave, you want a copy of the game? Give a friend. Christmas present. Okay, soon I'm sending it to the person without asking if he wants it.
No, we know he was in chat at least.
I was really, yeah. Well, he did type. Okay, Dave, you're getting the game. Freaking hell! I'm gonna force it on you. Well, because it was a leftover key that I asked if we could use for that, because I already bought the game. Okay, guys, we're gonna do it like that. We're gonna cut it here. And Caxton says Malmö. Okay, cool. I'll remove the screen reading thing. Well, okay, Jeff, thank you very, very, very much for this this interview and this show.
No, thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, because this was pretty much a return of the show. As I told you guys, we'll be doing another one on Thursday at the same time. It's a totally different game. I expect totally different viewers from their community. Obviously, this is sort of a show that goes towards like people interested in the game come to look at this, right? Like most of these people were fans of your game, so I guess giving
nice
away
to be able
the
to
game.
talk to everybody, and got the patch coming out for you shortly, guys. Just hang on a little longer.
Alright. Hopefully talk again, Jeff, and yeah, hopefully in the future when you release more cool stuff, we'll do something shorter and sweet.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Alright. Goodbye. Take care.
You too. Thanks a lot now.